The laws of leprosy do not identify the cause of the disease, Tsara, but its detailed description does give sufficient information to identify its pathogen. First, Tsara is not restricted to humans. The disease, oddly enough, can be contracted by clothing and houses. Both clothing and houses have separate laws of the plague. Scholars are at a loss as to explain even the possibility of diseased clothing or a diseased house. Nonetheless, the Lord was serious on the matter. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made specific laws for leprous garments and houses. Scholars are tempted to apply different diseases to the leprosy of the garments and houses than those afflicting humans. Generally speaking, what afflicts man does not afflict clothing and buildings, and vice versa. But the symptoms of the human leprosy and its treatment are the same as for the leprosy of the garments and house. This makes it certain that the disease and its cause was the same for all three. Second, the descriptions of the laws also make it clear that Tsara, whatever it was not contagious. It was not passed from person to person. If it were contagious, the Lord would have given procedures to isolate those afflicted with the disease. But in many cases, lepers were allowed to intermingle with their fellow Israelites. The priest had direct contact with all those who contracted the disease. Those who had the disease covered their body from head to foot were pronounced clean by the priest. This means that the leper was allowed to freely associate. When there was leprosy in a house, the priest first instructed its owner to remove the furnishings so they would remain clean. There was no fear that the furniture had been contaminated by the house. Leprous clothing was not considered contagious either. The disease translated as leprosy, Tsara, was simply not a contagion, nor was contact with the disease feared. Third, the Tsara was curable. In some cases, merely waiting for 1 to 2 weeks was sufficient for the disease to resolve on its own. But modern leprosy, Hansen's disease, is for the most part incurable. Some cures now exist, but are costly and require up to a year for complete remission. The difficulty in identifying Tsara lies in the fact that its symptoms do not match any known disease. Not only does it not match Hansen's disease, Tsara does not match any known skin malady. Scholars work around this problem by saying that leprosy is a catch-all term for a variety of diseases. The Church, in its Bible dictionary, advances this claim. Furthermore, the blame for the modern inability to identify Tsara lies with the ancients. Yet, the ancient Israelites knew exactly how to identify Tsara after receiving the Lord's instructions. When it repeatedly reappeared, they knew what it was and what to do. That was the whole point of the laws. For example, when King Uzziah was smitten by the Lord with Tsara, the priests immediately recognized it and took appropriate steps, casting the king out of the temple.